Good morning, everybody. This is Jason Butt with the UGAsports.com quick take. And guess what? We're just one day away from number 1 Tennessee against number 3 Georgia. Still don't understand why this isn't 1-2. I don't know what the committee saw in Ohio State over Georgia with that selection. But that was Wednesday. This is today. Georgia wins if, and also we didn't have enough room in the title. Tennessee, we'll do a Tennessee wins if as well. And honestly, let's start with Tennessee. Since Tennessee is the number 1 team in the country, they're coming into this game red hot over a 44-6 win against Kentucky last week. You know, the first game where the pass defense really seemed to buckle down and stop a quarterback who many think that could be a first rounder in Will Levis. Paul Mahari, Will Levis is not that guy. Just wanted to throw that out there. Anyway, so Tennessee wins this game. We're going to go three reasons why Tennessee wins this game. Number 1, the pass defense slows down Georgia's pass offense. Now, just as I mentioned last week, Kentucky had a great showing Tennessee had a great showing, holding Kentucky to only 6 points. But otherwise, you know, they gave up over 400 to Anthony Richardson at Florida, who isn't the best passing quarterback, and they've given up plenty of yards. They rank toward the bottom of the conference, giving up 300 passing yards a game. Now, if Tennessee takes that momentum from the Kentucky game, carries it over into the Georgia one, and holds Stetson Bennett and company to under 300 passing yards, and Bennett ends up throwing a couple picks, then Tennessee will win this game, because part of Georgia's, and we'll get to this in a moment, part of Georgia's success relies on the passing game, being able to take advantage of the Tennessee's inconsistencies in the back end. Number 2, Tennessee's run game is able to win on third and short. Now, Tennessee's been great through the air. As always, we've seen this offense just light it up. Hendon Hooker's a Heisman, one of the Heisman favorites. He's throwing for 2,338 yards, 21 touchdowns, only has 1 interception. And so, clearly a great quarterback, experienced, up there in age too. He's kind of like Stetson Bennett in that regard. In the run game, their backs, they're definitely capable. They're good. They're decent. They're good backs. If they can win on third and short, continue drives, then Tennessee could end up winning this game. Jalen Wright at 478 yards, Jabari Small 475, offer a pretty good 1-2 punch. Wright goes over 5 a carry. Nobody else does outside of Joe Milton, who is a quarterback and has only carried the ball 4 times. So I don't even know why I mentioned that. If anybody who consistently carries the ball, they don't have a guy over 5 yards a carry. So that's an area Georgia could hold an advantage. But as I said, if Tennessee is able to get in third and shorts and win in the run game on those downs, then that assists with their number of plays, not necessarily time of possession, and keeps drives moving. And then the third key for Tennessee is just this really applies to both teams in a game that is going to be that has the chance to be very tightly contested, and that's limit turnovers. I already mentioned Hendon Hooker has 1 interception for the year. If Hendon Hooker goes for no turnovers and the other 2 things apply, then Tennessee is going to be in a pretty good position to win this game. And those are Tennessee's big if scenarios. So let's get to Georgia, which I'm sure is why you really tuned into this. Georgia wins if they're able to pick off Hendon Hooker at least once, possibly twice, and really just win the turnover battle. I think defensively, this game is going to come down to just those big sudden change plays. If neither team turns the ball over, this game has a chance to be something like 49-45 or in the 50s, similar, maybe even a similar score like 52-49, like the Tennessee-Alabama game. But given Georgia's defensive success, you look at Malachi Starks, a guy who's made plays in the back end, Christopher Smith, an experienced safety. This kind of sets up like almost that chess match between an experienced safety and somebody like Hendon Hooker, who's up there, in age and has that kind of a wisdom at the quarterback position. I think That sets up Keely Ringo. Kirby Smart was dead on. Cornerbacks are going to give up plays. I wouldn't be surprised if Keely Ringo gives up another play or two in this game, but then maybe comes down with a huge one in the fourth quarter. He wins more than he loses. Of course, when cornerbacks lose, those are so much more amplified when they are big plays for touchdowns or big plays in key situations. But if those guys can have success against a Tennessee offense, and maybe even confuse. We'll get to this point in a little bit, but just confuse Tennessee's offense and get them in third and long situations. So where they are in obvious pass situations, then this will bode well for Georgia. The second key is going to be offensively keep the balance moving, but you got to hit the big plays. And I want to throw in there Darnell Washington. This needs to be a Darnell Washington game. I believe Tennessee is going to put a lot of attention on Brock Bowers. I don't know if they're going to respect the deep ball as much. So Stetson Bennett will need to be on point when it comes to hitting Ladd McConkey or Arian Smith over the top. And then I think that frees up Darnell Washington. This game should to have a lot of matchup issues on the Tennessee side. So, to me, they've gotten him more and more involved. Maybe this is the game where he becomes an even bigger focal point of the offense. I've been screaming it all year. This is the guy. This is the game to me that Darnell Washington ends up. He should have a chance to get 6-7 catches, go over 100 yards, maybe get a touchdown. I think if they can keep that, and then if they keep the balance, as I said, have the passing attack rolling, make sure you're smart in the passing game, and then have that running game being able to balance out to make sure that Tennessee's defense, which not bad against the run, not good against the pass, but Georgia has shown over the last few weeks that it doesn't matter who's lining up against them, they're going to be able to run the ball. You're looking at the way Kenny McIntosh ran in the second half against Florida. Dejan Edwards has been tremendous, and then of course Branson Robinson as the closer. We'll see what Kendall Milton. We'll see if he's available. I haven't personally. I just haven't seen whether he will or not. But they have some good backs that can keep the game moving. And then this is a big one for Georgia, and I think there are a lot of ifs here. You could go into kind of like Tennessee winning the turnover battle. You can go into so many different little nuances, but to me, special teams for Georgia. Jack Podlesny, there could be a chance where he needs to kick one, between 48 and 52 yards. Will he make that kick? He missed one from over 50 earlier this year. I think that'll be imperative. I think the making sure there are no turnovers in the punt return game. Ladd McConkey's dropped one earlier this year. Making sure that there aren't any mistakes, there aren't any penalties that force the offense to end up in first and 10 situations that they're at Georgia's own 10 to 15 yard line. I think it's little things like that. The punt game, Brett Thorson, this is going to be a game where he hasn't been relied on or hasn't had to be in a situation where he's outside of Missouri is the only close game they've had this year. So it hasn't really been a situation where he's been counted on to flip the field or if he the pressure's on him in a punting situation. So he's got to make sure that he doesn't shank one, in the third quarter with the game tied or something like that. Special teams will be crucial in this game on Georgia's side more so than Tennessee's side, in my opinion. And if Georgia can stay, play a clean game in special teams, then I think they have a great chance of winning this game. And then we'll throw in the last one, like a bonus item, Stetson Bennett. I think going back to the offense and the balance, to me, he's going to need to play. Nobody ever plays a perfect game, but he's going to need to be as close to perfect as possible. And I don't say that as like a deficiency sort of thing. I just think that the way Tennessee scores, Georgia could be in a situation where they have to match. And I think that if he can get out early and he can play like he did against Oregon and South Carolina for that matter, and this offense and Todd Munkett can scheme guys open, then then Georgia can possibly put some pressure on Tennessee that they really haven't felt all year. Because if you go back to the Alabama game, Tennessee was a team that got in front with Alabama rallying and almost taking the game in at the end of the day. And one final bonus one for Georgia, and I think that is defensively, you got to confuse this Tennessee offense. As I mentioned earlier this week, our guy Brent Rollins, he on the Film Don't Lie broke down that just Tennessee's offense, and the thing that sticks out is Tennessee's not doing anything too complex. A lot of what they do is based on just reading the defense. Kirby and company are pretty sound when it comes to trying to mix things up. I don't necessarily think that this defense, I mentioned, I think after the bye week or during the bye week, one of the things that Georgia needed to correct was its ability to sack the quarterback. This type of game with a quarterback who can run, I don't necessarily think sacking the quarterback is as big of a deal as disruption and confusion. And so if Tennessee's running this offense that basically, hey, if you're lining up high, we're going underneath. If you come up, we're going over the top. So they can move fast. Georgia's going to have to be in a situation where on 1st and 10, they are showing some looks that give Hendon Hooker a read that he's not accurately getting. And I do have confidence in this coaching staff, whether it's Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Glenn Schumann, all those guys, given their history, their intellect with this game, that they can be able to do that. So we'll see what happens. We have our predictions up on UJSports.com if you want to go check them out. But those are the kind of the Tennessee wins if and Georgia wins if for this showdown, which so far going into this year, or so far this year, I should say, looks like the game of the season. You got number 1 versus number 3 in the college football playoff, and then Georgia being number 1, obviously, in the other 2 polls. This should be a great one. And on that note, let's everybody have a good Friday. This is just one day away. I know that a lot of people are excited see what happens and how this game unfolds. So thanks for tuning in. Mash that subscribe button. Go to the UJSports.com dog vent. Please subscribe. It's the best community for Georgia football fans on the internet. And again, thanks for tuning in. You have been awesome, and I have been Jason Butt. Take care.